The contract slid across the table, but it did not stop in front of me. I watched it move slowly, like a bad dream in slow motion, until it landed in front of someone else. My chest tightened so fast I had to remind myself to breathe. Mr. Briggs leaned back and folded his hands. "We've decided to go with someone more capable," he said, his voice cold. I opened my mouth to speak, but nothing came out. My mind was spinning. I had worked on this proposal for 3 months, 3 whole months of late nights, careful research, and every good idea I had ever had poured into one pitch. And now someone else was getting it? I felt heat rising up my neck. Then the door behind me opened. Footsteps, confident, unhurried. I turned slowly. My best friend, Marcus, walked in wearing a pressed white shirt and a smile that did not waver. He looked comfortable. He looked prepared. He looked like he belonged in that room. My stomach dropped. He did not glance at me with surprise. He nodded at Mr. Briggs and took the empty chair beside him, like this was always the plan. Just 1 week before that terrible morning, I had called Marcus from my car, barely able to sit still from excitement. I had received the first email from Mr. Briggs expressing interest in my proposal for a large construction supply contract. It was the kind of deal that could change everything. Bigger clients, real income, a real name in the industry. My voice was shaking as I explained it all to Marcus. He listened quietly, then laughed warmly. "Brother, you deserve this more than anyone I know," he said. I believed him completely. We had been friends for 9 years. We grew up on the same street, shared food during hard times, and celebrated every small win together. I had no reason to doubt him. But then he started asking questions. Not the kind a friend asks out of curiosity, the careful, specific kind. He wanted to know my pricing structure, my timeline, my strategy for handling delivery logistics. I answered everything freely because that is what you do with someone you trust. I never once stopped to ask myself the most important question of all. Why did he need to know every single detail? After that call, something felt different, though I could not name it then. Marcus had always been easy to reach. We talked almost every day about work, life, about nothing important. But after I told him about the contract, he became harder to find. My calls rang out, messages came back hours later. "Busy, bro, talk soon." I told myself he had his own pressures. He ran a small trading business and I assumed something had come up. I did not want to be the kind of friend who panicked over missed calls, so I pushed the feeling aside and kept working. I spent 4 more days tightening every detail, adjusting numbers, refining timelines, closing every gap I could find. I submitted the proposal feeling proud. 2 days later, Mr. Briggs invited me in for a final meeting. I believed I was close to winning. I did not know that Marcus had already visited that same office the day before. I did not know his questions had never come from friendship. They were coming from a plan he had started building while I was still trusting him with everything. I stepped out of the meeting room and found Marcus in the corridor, scrolling his phone. I walked straight to him. My hands trembled, but my voice came out quiet. "What did you do?" I asked. He looked up slowly. Something crossed his face, not guilt, not shame, just a flicker of discomfort that vanished almost immediately. "It's just business, man," he said and shrugged, like I had raised a minor disagreement. Those 2 words landed like stones. I stared at him, searching for some crack in his calm, some sign he felt what I was feeling. There was nothing. I turned back to Mr. Briggs, who stood near the doorway. I asked him directly what had happened. He shifted his weight uncomfortably. Then he told me someone had contacted his office before my final meeting, someone who raised serious doubts about my ability to manage a contract this size, someone who said I was disorganized, unreliable, and not ready for work at this level. He did not say the name, but I already knew. There was only one person on earth with every detail he would have needed to say those exact things about me. I pressed Mr. Briggs one more time, and he sat down and spoke carefully. "Your friend came to us 2 days before your final meeting," he said. "He told us you were a good person but not ready for a deal this size. He said your pricing was risky and your timeline was weak. I felt something cold move through my chest. Then he submitted his own proposal, Mr. Briggs continued. He slid a folder across the table. I opened it slowly. What I saw made my jaw tighten. The strategy was mine. The delivery model was mine. The pricing logic, adjusted slightly, was mine. Marcus had taken everything I shared during our call and built his pitch around it. He had not come up with something better. He had taken my ideas, placed his name on them, and convinced Mr. Briggs that he was the capable one. I closed the folder and pushed it back. My mind rewound through every careful question he had asked, every specific detail he had wanted. He was not being curious. He was building a case against me while using my own words as the foundation of his plan. I drove home in silence. No music, no calls. When I got inside, I sat on the edge of my bed and stared at the wall. Then I picked up my phone. There were 3 unread messages from Marcus. The first said, "Hey, how did the meeting go?" The second said, "Bro, are you good?" The third, sent just 1 hour after he collected my contract, said, "Let me know if you need anything. Always here for you." I read each message twice. He had gone home and typed those words knowing exactly what he had done. He expected me to reply like nothing had changed. He expected 9 years of friendship to absorb this and keep moving as normal. I placed the phone face down on the mattress. I did not reply. I sat in the quiet and felt the full weight of it. Not just the lost deal, not just the stolen ideas, but the deeper thing, the loss of who I believed Marcus truly was. Every memory from our 9 years together now felt slightly different, like old photographs with something wrong just out of frame that I had never noticed before. 3 days later, a colleague named Felix called me. He was soft-spoken and said he had stayed out of things because he didn't want to be involved, but something was bothering him enough to pick up the phone. He told me he had attended a business event 10 days before my final meeting, one I had not been to. Marcus was there. Felix watched him pull Mr. Briggs aside during the networking hour, speaking quietly while pointing at something on his phone, with Mr. Briggs listening and nodding. Felix had thought nothing of it then, but hearing what happened at the meeting, he now understood what he had witnessed. Marcus had not stumbled into an opportunity and made a desperate choice. He had attended that event deliberately, introduced himself to Mr. Briggs before I even submitted my final proposal, and started planting doubt about me while I was still refining my numbers at home. The betrayal I had grieved as one sharp moment was actually a long road of small choices, each one made with clear intention, each one moving towards the same goal. This was not a mistake in judgment. This was a plan. I spent 2 days doing nothing but thinking. Then I made a decision. I would not confront Marcus again. I would not argue my case with Mr. Briggs. I was going to rebuild, quietly. I wrote out everything I still had. My research, my pricing models, my client notes, my supplier contacts. Marcus had taken one proposal, but he had not taken my knowledge or the years of work behind it. I began reaching out to businesses in the construction and logistics space. I showed up on time, followed through on every promise, and kept my work honest. I said nothing to Marcus. He sent more messages. I left them unread. About 6 weeks later, a new opportunity arrived. A manufacturing company called Harlow Industries was looking for a supply chain consultant to manage their raw materials sourcing. The contract was significantly larger than the one Marcus had taken. I sat in my car outside their building and asked myself one question before walking in. Who would know about this deal? The answer had to be nobody, not a single person. I had learned that lesson completely, and I was not going to need to learn it twice. Word moves fast in our industry. Within 2 weeks of my first meeting with Harlow Industries, Marcus had heard something. One evening he called. I let it ring. He called again the next morning. Then a message arrived. Heard you might have something new in the works. Proud of you, brother. Call me when you can. I stared at those words. The same warmth, the same easy tone, as if the past months had simply been erased. I called him back that evening and kept my voice calm. He asked about Harlow. I said things were moving. Then came the familiar pattern. careful questions about my pricing approach, my timeline, my strategy for handling volume. This time, I gave him nothing real. I spoke in general terms, laughed at the right moments, and changed the subject naturally when he pushed deeper. When we hung up, I sat quietly for a moment. He had shown me clearly who he was in that meeting room months ago. I had no reason to forget it and no reason to show him I remembered. The best response I could give him was nothing useful, and then keep walking forward. Marcus did not wait long. Within 10 days of our call, he contacted Harlow Industries directly. I found out when the procurement officer, Miss Adeze, mentioned it during one of our meetings. She said someone had reached out expressing interest in the same scope of work, confident and knowledgeable the way she described him. I recognized the picture immediately. She said he had also raised concerns about another consultant they were considering, someone he claimed had a history of overpromising and under-delivering. She looked at me carefully as she said it. "We could not verify any of his claims," she said. "We also spoke with Mr. Briggs." I stayed still and let her finish. "Mr. Briggs told us the full story of how that first contract was awarded," she continued. "He was not comfortable with it. Marcus had used the exact same approach, same industry, same type of target, same tactic of undermining before competing. But this time, the people across the table were not starting fresh. They had already been told what kind of trail he left behind, and they did exactly what any careful professional would do with that information. I did not go out of my way to tell people what Marcus had done, but information travels in professional circles like smoke in a closed room, quietly and completely, without anyone needing to push it. Mr. Briggs, troubled by the first contract, mentioned it at an industry dinner. That contact told others. A supplier I worked with heard a version of the story and began asking different questions when Marcus's name came up. Within 2 months of the Harlow meeting, something was quietly shifting around Marcus. A client he had worked with for over a year declined to renew. Felix gave him a polite excuse when he called asking for a referral. 2 smaller businesses that had always been warm toward him suddenly took longer to respond. He could not point to one event that caused any of it. There was no loud confrontation, no public accusation, no single moment of exposure. There was simply a slow cooling, the kind that sets in when people begin seeing someone differently and can't quite name the exact moment they first started to look at him that way. The news reached me through Felix. The contract Marcus had taken, built on my ideas and awarded using my research, was falling apart. Mr. Briggs had found serious gaps between what Marcus promised and what was actually being delivered. The timeline had slipped by nearly 3 weeks. A key supplier had not been secured the way Marcus claimed because he lacked the relationships I had spent years building. He had borrowed my strategy without the foundation underneath it. Mr. Briggs called an urgent review. Felix, who knew someone on the administrative side of the company, told me the meeting had been difficult. Marcus tried to explain the gaps, but his answers were thin. Afterward, Mr. Briggs contacted his legal team to review the contract terms and brought in a second consultant to assess the situation. The contract Marcus had walked into that room to collect, smiling, prepared, confident, was being pulled from under him one piece at a time. Not because of anything I arranged, because he built his win on borrowed ideas and broken trust. And structures built on those things always find their way down. The only real question is when. He came to my apartment on a Tuesday evening. I looked through the peephole before opening the door. He stood there in a gray hoodie, hands in his pockets, head bowed. The confidence was gone. The easy smile that had always made people comfortable was nowhere on his face. I opened the door and said nothing. He looked up slowly. "I made a mistake," he said quietly. I stepped back and let him in. He sat at my kitchen table and told me everything. The event where he first approached Mr. Briggs, the calls he made before my final meeting, the proposal he built using my framework. He did not try to soften any of it. He said he was under financial pressure and saw the contract as a way out. He told himself I would find another deal easily. Then he said the part that surprised me most. He asked if I could help him rebuild his standing in the industry. Not the contract, that was finished. He meant his reputation, the thing people see when your name comes up in a room. I looked at him for a long moment before I said anything. I looked at Marcus sitting across from me and tried to find the person I'd known for 9 years. Parts of him were still there, the way he held his shoulders, the way he met your eyes when he spoke. But something between us was permanently rearranged, and one conversation couldn't fix it. I spoke without anger. I said, "You didn't just take a deal. You took it by convincing people I wasn't capable. That follows a person." He nodded and said nothing. I told him I had no interest in helping him manage how others saw him. That was his own slow work to do. But I told him I was not going to spend energy hating him. He asked if we could still be friends. I told him I didn't know what that looked like anymore, and trust was not something I could restore on his schedule. I stood. He stood, too. We shook hands at the door, stiff and formal, like strangers with a shared history. He left. I closed the door. The Harlow contract had been confirmed 3 weeks earlier. I came back to that and let it settle. Standing in my new workspace at Harlow Industries 3 months after signing, I thought about everything and looked for the real lesson. Not the obvious one about protecting your ideas, but the deeper one about how betrayal actually works. Marcus had not been hiding behind a good mask for 9 years. He was someone who, under pressure, chose wrong, and then chose wrong again, until those choices became who he was in that season. My closeness to him made me more open, more willing to share what I should have guarded. What I carried forward was not bitterness, it was clarity. I became more deliberate about what I shared and with whom. I grew more patient with my own progress, and I learned something steady about how the world corrects itself. Not always loudly, not always fast, but consistently. Marcus lost the contract, the referrals, and the trust that had opened doors for him. I gained something harder to measure, but impossible to remove. A name built one honest deal at a time. What you build with your own hands, through your own integrity, stays. No one can slide it across a table from you. What are your thoughts? Please drop your comments, like, and subscribe to this channel. Watch out for the next story.